You can be anything you want to be when you grow up. You can do anything you set your mind to. Is that something you also heard growing up? Maybe you've said it yourself to encourage your own kids or grandkids. I got that a lot and it mostly served me well, but I came across a video recently where a young man really questioned that advice he was given.
I actually spent 6 months in a mental hospital for depression. I've had to realize that this narrative that I'd been brought up with, that I could do anything, just wasn't true.
So that was via Humans of New York on social media. The young man was talking about the pressure that messaging put on him to be, in his words, Luke Skywalker or Jesus Christ. And it made me wonder if telling kids you can be anything you want to be is really an inspiring message or an impossible expectation. Well, I'm about to ask our resident psychologist about it, but I'd really love to hear your thoughts too. Were you told this as a kid? Did it feel encouraging or did it feel like pressure? How did childhood messages about success shape the choices you made? And here with me is Christine Bagley-Jones, our resident psychologist. She joins me fortnightly for Head and Heart. Christine, is this a phrase that you heard when you were growing up?
I did hear it, but also I thought that that was what I was supposed to deliver to my children when they were growing up. And I asked them about this very question, like, how did it feel? Did I do that? And they were like saying, well, you did it in a fairly grounded way. You didn't let us have loopy, outlandish ideas about what they could achieve. So that's the thing that was a bit different.
So you got a gold star from the kids. That's always important. But this sense of you want your parents to believe in you. It feels like it's a vote of confidence, but at least for this person in the video, and I played the clip just now, it landed in a way of impossible expectations.
That's right. And the point that you make about your kids and kids feeling that their parents believe in them can be very much achieved without pointing them in a direction where they've got these lofty, unrealistic fantasies about what they want to be or do in life.
Do you think that it's a relatively recent kind of message, like the last couple of generations? I don't know if parents 100 years ago were telling their kids you can be anything you want to be. I think they were like, you're going to be a chandler like your father and grandfather.
That's right. In fact, when you asked the question, did I grow up that way, I didn't. My parents didn't set up many expectations for what they wanted for me, which again had its downside because I didn't feel like I had guidance in terms of direction. So it's finding the sweet spot, really.
So do you think it's a bad message to send?
In and of itself, it's coming from a place of love. It's just being naive. And when you want your kid to feel confident and aspirational, you want to make sure that you expand out, and it's not just your vocation, but it's the sort of person that you want to be. So you want to believe in them, but you want them to be wholehearted in the way they live their life. So it doesn't just have to be about what you're going to accomplish. It could be just the sort of person that you are, and you can believe in them in that way and nurture those qualities. So it is great to let someone know that they can have dreams and aspirations, but don't just narrow it to vocation. But also that realistic piece, that's really important too. Do the maths. Look at where their skills are. Look at where their interests lie. Let them know that whatever it is that they might want to be very successful at is going to include a lot of hours of hard yakka. Are they up for it? And also, I know this sounds a bit dry, but check out the likelihood. Ask yourself, am I setting them up for disappointment? Are they really going to be the best in this particular area where, you need to be elite, for example? So you want to be a bit rational about it.
I'm thinking about the Commonwealth Games are on at the moment, right? No one in those games is there by accident. Every single person there had extraordinary physical talent, and then layered on top of that a huge amount of probably parental involvement and commitment. If you are going to be really great, you do need a lot of support and a lot of self-belief. And so is it maybe do we just hedge our bets and say this in case your kid really can be anything and needs that backing to succeed?
I think you need to look at the resources available. You made a very valid point that if this kid really wants this, you've got to make sure that your community has that swimming pool that they can go to train, for example, whether you've got the funds or the time, or if you want to help your kid thrive, you've got to have the scaffolding to allow it. But also, let them give it a red hot go, but let them understand, let them have a very clear appraisal of what's included there. Their afternoons will be forfeited. They'll be training. These are the things that they need to weigh up, and maybe let them do a little try before they buy. And that's the thing I love, the idea of saying, yeah, of course, let's give it a shot, and let them actually kick that can down the road and then determine themselves, do I have the grit? Do I have the willingness to sacrifice to become elite or really, really successful in a particular area? Because it's okay if they give it a go and then decide it's not for them, or they want to try something different. It's okay to do lots and lots of tests and not define that as failing.
Yeah, I suppose it plays into this sense of what success looks like, and that idea going along with these sorts of phrases are often things like we don't quit, failure is not an option, that kind of thing. Are those potentially unhealthy things to be pushing after?
Again, it's a balancing act, because you don't want someone to be so flippant that they keep just jumping from one interest to another, and because they're not instantly gratified or good at it, they ditch it for something else. So it's that application as well. Like, put some thought, do some research, then commit. Like, when my kids have wanted to try something, I want to do this. I'm like, okay, well, we're going to give it a year, and you're going to throw yourself into it, and then we'll revisit whether it was right or wrong. So if you can, let them learn about how they operate in these spaces, because we can have these great fantasies, and of course social media makes so many things seem more sexy than they really are. So once they're actually doing it, you'll see if they've got the aspirational drive to keep pushing, whether they've got the actual skills, because remember, we're born with a certain lineup of strengths, and you want to speak to those strengths rather than picking something you don't have a natural talent for, and then you're up against those that do have that natural talent. So it's better to maximise on what you've already got naturally going on.
So James says, I put it a different way to my kids. I would say, aim for the stars, at least you'll hit the moon. Christine, do you like that?
I love it. I love it, because you want them to dream big, and you don't want to quell their imagination or that sense of, I can think outside the square. I don't just have to do what my parents have done or what my cohort's doing. We want to have them experience a very unique and vibrant life, but we also don't want them to be faced with a devastating disappointment, which they'd banked their entire identity on. Like, I want to be this thing. And then if it doesn't happen, they don't just miss out on that opportunity. They've kind of lost who they are in the story. So always make sure that you buffer it with, whatever you do, this isn't going to define you. There are so many other parts of who you are which are rich and worthy of nurturing and celebrating.
Well, Christine, thank you so much for your advice. May today meet all of your realistic expectations. Christine Bagley-Jones joins me fortnightly for Head and Heart here on Life Matters on ABC Radio National.
Find more great ABC RN stories that take you beyond the headlines on the ABC Listen app.